People Are Everything, a show where I ask my guests, who are the 5 people that have shaped the person you are today? And today is January the 13th, so Happy New Year, unless you're sick of hearing that already. I don't know what the rules are. Maybe a day or so we can say it after January the 1st, but I'm going to keep it going. So, Happy New Year. I hope 2026 turns out to be a good one for you. 2025 was a mixed bag, wasn't it, really? Personally, it was quite good, but the world seemed to be a bit challenged by it, shall we say. So let's see what 2026 has in store for us. I'm hoping for some stability and peace in the world, but let's see. So on to things for 2026. We're in season 4. This is season 4 beginning. I have an amazing array of guests for you for this season. Very excited to share the list with you and reveal them each week. I've already pretty much booked out season 5, so something's working. And my audience, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. I'm a bit global. Most of my audience, well, obviously UK is a big chunk, but I have a huge following in the US. Probably because I've got a lot of US guests, but also maybe, I don't know, there's something about the subject matter or content that seems to appeal. But I'm also dotted all over the place. It's quite random. You get all these stats and facts when you do these podcast things. And I try not to look at it too much, but every now and then I have a little peek. And it's very, very interesting. So thank you for all your support. Looking to see what happens this year. I'm kicking this year off with a rebrand. Anybody that can see the old digital assets can see that I have a beautiful blue now. So props to my son for designing it all, and to Neil for pulling it all together, and for Jodie for that very flattering picture of me. I'm not sure it's I'm sure there's some sort of, I don't know, breaching some sort of marketing rules there, but it does look nice. And I'm very excited to introduce you to my first guest. It's Brandon Mergard. You'll hear, I was a bit intimidated going into this one. Brandon was introduced to me by Nancy Berg, and I hold Nancy in very high regard. So when she said you need to speak to Brandon, I was like, all right, this guy's going to be a big hitter. And then when I looked into who he was and what he represents, I was, a little bit in awe of him. And you'll hear that in the first few minutes. I'm a bit starstruck. But I needn't have been. He was amazing. You could imagine somebody who's, CEO of a very established and global coaching company would have certain skills, but actually it felt to me anyway that those skills were kind of, he brought them in a couple of times, but actually he was just having a nice conversation with me. So I learned a lot. He actually inadvertently or surreptitiously trained me. There's some of the things that he came up with I actually start to use now. And his choice of people was very, very interesting. So I'm not going to say any more about it, really. I just hope that you really sit back and enjoy this one. I think Brandon is an incredible operator, a great man, and I really, really enjoyed this one. So sit back and relax and enjoy my conversation with Brandon. Hello, Brandon. Welcome to People Are Everything. How are you today?
I'm ecstatic to be here. I've listened to a number of other episodes, and I'm just, you're such a good host. I'm excited to jump into things.
Oh, that sounds like pressure. I'm not good with pressure, Brandon. I tell you what, let's forget it. Let's forget it right now. That's very kind of you to say so. But do you know what? I'm building up quite the sort of, I don't know. I'm in my 3rd season now, and I was told most people don't make it past episode 8. With podcasts, they just give up. And honestly, I can't see me ever giving up. I just love this. You are the best part of my day, I promise you. And I don't have a particularly bad day, but I do look forward to my podcast recordings more than anything. So it's a real pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. You have such a good format. I think it's not something that ever is gonna reach a terminus. There's always more to excavate. So I'm happy to be here to do my part, and thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you were tagged. Did you ever play tag when you were a kid? They call it tag in America?
Yes, I was unaware we were supposed to stop after being kids, but yes, I'm a fan of the game.
Well, you were tagged by Nancy, which,
Mm,
given how I feel about Nancy, is I would say is quite the honour for you. I hope you feel that way about it. But
I do.
oh, bless you. No, I'm only messing. But she did tag you at the end of our episode, which we're recording. I mean, everything's a bit out of sync for me, Brandon, as well. So we're recording the day after Nancy went out. So she went out yesterday, and you probably won't go out to the new year, but it's kind of like, I don't know, synchronicity that she went out yesterday and I'm speaking
Mhm.
to you today. And yet we spoke weeks ago. So I don't know. I feel like I'm in a time machine sometimes. I'm just going back and forth, back and forth. But she tagged you at the end of her episode. So
Mm.
that's how we met, if you like.
Yeah.
So, and she's a good friend of yours, isn't she? Somebody you know very well, or you work together? I think.
Nancy is fantastic. Yes,
Yeah.
she's a peach. She's so sweet, and the two of you have an electric chemistry that just commands all of the listeners' attention. I think it's yeah. If any of you haven't listened to the episode, please, I implore you to do so. But yeah, it's the combination of the format and your and hers complementary personality. Oh, it's just magnificent.
Oh, wonderful. No, I love talking to Nancy. I think we kind of both felt that we were permission giving to each other to be really kind of just our true selves, really, and talk about whatever
Yeah.
was on our minds. And I think that's one of the things I love about this as well.
Yep.
It's not mandatory, Brandon, but you are supposed to share things with me today. But
Mm.
it's not mandatory. Don't worry. But with her and I, it just seemed to just naturally fall into that. But
Mm.
listen, she speaks extremely highly of you. She was thrilled that we were actually doing this. We've been communicating behind the scenes. And I think you represent something very significant for her, which is, if you think about the role you do, and I'd love you to expand upon this, but, you're CEO of a really global executive coaching. I want to call it, it's a firm, but it's also there's a concept behind it, isn't there? There's a driving force and a method behind it, which she absolutely is 100% committed to. And I've only experienced her as, I haven't been one of her clients, but I can see already the depth and understanding of the human spirit that she has. So it must be pretty special. So why don't we just dive straight into that? If you can just explain a bit more about it, and a little bit, and I know there's something I must specifically ask you, but so we're not, just remind me, if I start going ahead, just say, hang on, Julie, you said you were going to ask me something about something you did a long time ago. So, because I think we're going to connect on that. But I want to set it up for everybody listening, who you are and what you're all about.
Sure. Well, I'll start with the mission of the organization, because this, I think, encapsulates all the domains about which I'm intended to speak. And that is, we are stakeholder-centered coaching. And our mission is to measurably enhance leadership effectiveness around the world.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is we have a coaching methodology that is, I'm going to say proprietary, but I'm doing my part to teach this for free every week because I think that what we have is world changing. And our mission is to put this in more people's hands. So what stakeholder-centered coaching is, or maybe what it posits, is that leadership is a social process, that no part of leadership is happening behind the eyeballs. It's all in how people are experiencing you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit antithetical to the, let's say, authentic leadership movement and values-based and strengths-based leadership, which really says these are all important, but what's most important is what people are showing you. The scoreboard doesn't show your intentions. It shows what you've actually done.
Yep.
And how people see and interpret that. And what we do is we aim to engineer that in the most positive, productive way possible. And the key piece of what we do is measuring change, not by the coach's perspective or leader's perspective, but by the perspective of those around the leader who are affected by them. So I'm Brandon Mergard. This is the organization that I own and operate. We have 5,000 coaches in 110 countries, coaching in about 65 different languages. And it's my life's work to, we believe everyone deserves a stakeholder-centered leader, which means it's in our best interest to consistently research this, make the publications and findings free, give away the IP as much as we can, and the people for whom this is high enough stakes, they'll pay a lot of money for it. And the people who can't are going to come and consume the free resources and go out and make the world a better place. So this is the mission that Nancy's a part of. She is an absolutely wonderful steward of it. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And I suspect you'll see the threads of that in my 5 people today.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I really like that. So a stakeholder from a point of view of, it's not who you think you are and how you feel that you're going to show up in the world. It's actually how people receive you and experience you.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
I think
most coaching begins when someone feels a dissonance between who I want to be and who I am being. Where we operate is the dissonance between how I want to be seen and how I'm actually seen.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess
this is what impacts others.
And I guess to do that, you have to, I suppose, hold up a mirror anyway to the person in front of you and have them be really sort of self-critical, but also extend that to, a lot of, I imagine, 360 feedback from people around them. And I don't mean that in a sort of an HR sort of annual review type way, but in a genuine way of saying, we're going to actually ask people how you land. We're going to have to do this. And I think, I'm a sort of a leader-y type. I've been in a business leadership for a long time. And it's one of the hardest things actually is asking and receiving. So asking is quite awkward. And receiving genuine feedback from people who, let's face it, it's hard for them to be truly honest because, they kind of, in most cases, there's a hierarchy there. And it's hard for people to say, actually, Julia, you're really annoying. You know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. So there's always you're always looking through a slightly distorted lens when anybody asks you if you're a leader. Sorry, gives you feedback as a leader, I think. So how do you deal with that then? Can you share one of the techniques of how to get through that?
I can. I have to take a sip for dramatic pause because
Okay.
this is the I have one foot in academia, and this is my working on my second dissertation. This is one of the roots of it.
All right, cool.
But also as someone who's always looking to make this easier, simpler, and more accessible, the way that you go around this is you skip the feedback.
Oh, okay. I'm fascinated now. Go on.
Yeah, if I don't have your attention now, buckle up. Here we go.
You have it, 100%.
Feedback has all these problems, like you just said.
Yeah.
You've got cultural dimensions that are at play. You've got individual apprehension about sharing it. You've got track record of receiving feedback. Just so much can go wrong. What people are critically clear about is what they want to see you do different.
Yeah.
And so rather than going to my coworkers, and I have to make the preface, feedback is invaluable. Feedback is the cornerstone of most coaching. I'm here just to make a case that perhaps we can circumvent all that discomfort on both ends of the spectrum and just get right to the heart of it. So rather than saying, hey, Julia, we've been working together for a few years. Where are my warts? Where are my pimples? Where are the things that you really hate about me? No one has fun with that. Instead, I could say, Julia, I want to show up better in our relationship. How would you know that I was doing that effectively? And this shifts from, for example, Brandon, you always interrupt, or you always say no, or you always are adding too much value to ideas instead of fostering the person who had the idea. It goes to, I would appreciate if you would ask my opinion before drawing a conclusion. Or I would appreciate if when you delegate, you ask these couple questions to determine my readiness.
Yeah.
And it goes right to what you want to see done. And that gives me the invitation to a week later, a month later, come back and say, Julie, you said this. I've been working on it. What have you noticed is different? What do you need more of or less of? What can I start doing or stop doing? And this makes it very easy for you to tell me, here's what more effective relationship between us looks like. So this is one way that you get through feedback. The other side of the world is, How do we actually make feedback more effective? And I don't yet have an answer, but it is something that we're looking into.
Oh, I love that. I tell you what I love about that is it takes some of the sort of personal judgment and integrity questioning that can come with feedback. They can come with requests as well. So it's not loaded at all. It's just practical. It says, this is what I'd like to see. And I think, I can't speak for every leader out there, but, it can be a lonely old game. It's quite a difficult thing to do is why there's, what was his name? Connor MacLeod from the Clan MacLeod in Highlander said, there can be only one. Do you remember that film?
If I say yes, I might feel a little embarrassed, so I'll pretend that I don't. But yeah.
I know this film very well. We named our son after Connor MacLeod. Anyway, check it out. It's a great film from the 80s, I'm going to say. Anyway, there can be only one.
Can I give a quick... Let's just practice this very briefly. I would love for you to see how obscenely simple this is with no prep time. Here's an example. Julia, how would you know if I was one of your top 5 guests? What are 1 or 2 things you would notice about a guest? What would they do? What would they say? How would they respond to a question that would make them disproportionately enjoyable as a guest?
For me personally, the energy that they bring. I love the energy that you're bringing now, for example. How they may, approach the subject matter. I think that's important to me. Have they researched? Have they really thought about it? This is hard, isn't it? I really like it when people are real with me on this thing, and I liked it to feel like a back and forth conversation. That's 4. I think I've got 4. And 5, post the podcast, the top 5 people typically stay with me and we build a relationship. And I like that. That's a big driving force of why I'm doing this. How did I do? Was that all right?
Thank you. You exceeded expectations. I asked for 2 and you're so good at your show.
You said 5.
The recording still revealed the truth.
I see. Oh, sorry. I'm not very good at instructions, clearly. So it was what makes a top 5, 2 things, not 5 things that makes a top 5.
Yes. Okay. That was my fault confusing, but you gave 2 wonderful targets to me, but you gave a number of them, but it was to have energy, to be authentic, to be prepared, be vulnerable, and stay in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's it. Now I have 5 very clear targets that in a month or so I can come back and say, Julia, how did we do? At the end of this episode, I could say, how did I do on this? What could I do better next time?
Why didn't I think of this before? Why didn't we talk before? We should have done this before. I could have given you these.
Very simple. This is feed forward. We skip the cost of feedback. We go right to the value of feed forward. And, I now have a rubric for maintaining a great relationship with you.
I love that. Oh, I'm going to use that so much. Right, I'm going to sign up for your course too.
Please do. Please.
Can I go back to the thing I really wanted to talk to you about?
I'm excited and apprehensive. Tell me.
Do you know how many people in the world can share this particular experience? Very few. So when I saw this, I did I'm not going to call it research. That sounds far too grand. When I just looked you up online, we both worked in music schools in India. How many people can say that? Westernized music schools.
Very cool, right?
Yeah. So yours one was called, let me get it, I wrote it down here. Shekida? Have I said that wrong?
That's a Korean one, but yes.
Oh, hang on. It was in India.
International. I may have put something in wrong, but this was during my time working in a number of Korean organizations while I was touring over there as a musician.
My apologies. Well, then that makes us even more rare. I thought we shared that. Oh, I'm disappointed now.
to your credit, how many people can say that they taught music, period, but then to expand to at an international scale or to a diverse range of students, we're still pretty special, Julia.
We are special, Brandon. We shall keep. I'll hold on to that. Thank you very much for making that a reality.
Well, we do need a story from your side, though. So you've been teaching music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh well, I've always been a musician. In my first band, I was 14, which is another thing that Nancy and I had in common, although she waited till she was 40 to do her first gig. So music's always been a thread in my life. And after I had my kids, I had a corporate life before the children came. And I think what happened is I went a bit sort of, what's that film, Barefoot and Pregnant? I went a bit like that. I think it's a metaphor or an image for people who just throw themselves 100% to motherhood. I'm like literally became the howling at the moon mother, sort of, primal instinct type. And so I gave up the corporate life because I said, well, if I'm going to work, I want to do something that's my first love, so that I don't feel bad about being away from my kids, because I wanted to keep working. But so I contacted a local music institute, a very reputable one. It's called the Academy of Contemporary Music. It's a globally recognized business. And I just said to them, I'm looking to do just a couple of days a week, nothing dramatic. And my son was, I think, 1 and my daughter was 2. So it was just something to do. It kept me happy. I could leave the house, shut the door and go and buy coffee without 2 kids screaming at me. No, I absolutely adored motherhood, but those 2 days a week were magical. I could just leave and have a cup of coffee when I wanted. And I worked for this incredible institute and I loved it. Anyway, 2 days turned into full-time, turned into me being the CEO for nearly 10 years. And I had an absolute blast. I mean, we had some fabulous artists come through. So I'm not going to credit any of the teaching. We had incredible tutors. I mean, some amazing sort of artists of their own right who decided to turn their sort of attention to helping the next generation. And we had some incredible artists come through the stable. We had, I think, a member of Mumford & Sons. We had, most famously, I guess, is Ed Sheeran. He didn't stay long, but he was certainly there for a while. And I loved it. I did that for 10 years and just had a blast. But whilst I was there, someone said, would you come and help us build one of these in Mumbai? Because Western music was really starting to become a feature of Bollywood. And I said, sure, why not? Because my dad grew up in Mumbai. My grandmother did. I'm about 4th generation person from my family who spent time there. So, And I spent 5 years in Mumbai. And I helped build this incredible music school called TSM. And that was some time ago now. But yeah, good. And I thought, we've got something in common there. But and yours, so you're a teacher, guitar teacher.
In my former life, yes, I spent a fair amount of time teaching.
Oh, do you still play?
Not so much. No, it's fun.
It takes a lot of time. You got to really decide to play an instrument. But good. Well, we have something in common, even if it's slightly different countries. All right, listen, let's get into my first question I always like to ask is how you found the process and how did you approach the process of choosing your 5?
I would describe the process as a gift.
Okay.
You think just in the middle of, what we just said, life is busy. There's a lot of stakeholders, sometimes asking for meetings, sometimes pulling on your pant leg, asking for a snack. And in the midst of this chaos, you drop in and say, hey, could you spend some time meditating on who are the people who have had a truly profound impact on you? Well, I wasn't going to do that without that prompting. And now I got to spend, weeks steeped in gratitude and appreciation for people who have gotten me to far exceed any expectations I had of myself. That's something I owe you a debt of gratitude for. The process was wonderful. I recently, brief side quest, recently had a knee surgery. Got the stitches out yesterday. So I spent a lot of time laying around, spent a lot of time thinking on this. And it's flipped on a light that hadn't really been turned on in a while because of all of these other things. So I found the process quite cathartic, enjoyable, and pleasurable to the every depth of that word.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, I'm really pleased with that because some people say, oh, it was really hard, it was torturous, or some people say, oh, I was just, I had to do it, so I thought about it 5 minutes before. I don't know, but I did set this up for that reason. It is meant to be an exercise in gratitude. It's meant to be pausing and truly thinking about it. So I'm really pleased that's how you experienced it. So good. I'm pleased.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get started then? So do you want to just dive into who's number one?
Sure. I will briefly buffer by saying, in fact, the experience was so enriching that it informed who I'll tap next.
All right.
Because I wanted to show gratitude to this individual.
That makes sense.
As well. My first was, I was a little cheeky with this, Julia. I hope this is okay. I know you asked for 5 people, but same as you had done in your book, where it wasn't always one chapter per person, it was maybe a domain or a moment in time. My first one was my parents, my mom and dad. I could easily, I get this sort of, I don't know, this grin when I hear people talk about how great their parents are. I have the best parents in the world. I'm always just thinking, oh, honey, you have no idea, just that little internal dialogue. No, my parents are just truly the greatest thing that's ever happened, after my wife and kids, of course. Very big, profound impact.
Okay, so tell me more about them. Are they still with us, or are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, well, so maybe I'll share just a wee brief snapshot of my story. Is I was living overseas for about a decade, and we were not so intrigued by the local school systems. Very good education, but just not the philosophical underpinnings that we wanted to pursue. So we intended to move back to the U.S., and we chose a place of all the options that I proposed, the Saudi Arabias and the places my wife obviously said, "Are you out of your mind?" Taking me there. Landed on Washington State because this was where my parents intended to retire. We wanted to be near them. So they're maybe 10 minutes down the road. We hang out every weekend or so. They're extremely involved in my kids' life. They're the number one fans of my wife and all of her pursuits. And they've just been so tremendously supportive through every season of life, every left turn, every roundabout I've gotten stuck in. They've always been there, always been supportive, always had enough belief to outpace my own doubts. So, yeah, they're people I have a deep debt of gratitude towards.
So tell me a bit more about them individually then, and as a collective. So were they childhood sweethearts? Do they meet later in life? What's their story? What's their love story?
Yeah, well, they met at a summer camp where my dad was a musician. He was a drummer, and they met up and became instant friends. Let's see, that would have been, I think, late teens, maybe early 20s. And he was the drummer and she was the one that would help pack up the drums into the back of the van at the end of the shows. They were just very, very sweet. I think they had me late 20s or so. And they're very complementary, black and white differences. I'll say some of the things I learned from my mother is to be a bit of a rebel, to press the boundaries, be a contrarian. She's one of those people that at least mentally doesn't have a filter, so can imagine any type of scenario, good or bad, can think of the most outlandish ideas. I think from her is where I learned entrepreneurialism, being enterprising. She's a nurse, so she was in nursing school, so we grew up with things like eyeballs and brains in the refrigerator, surgeries on the television. the things that this woman would say over dinner would just, I truly could not even repeat them, things that she had seen during her day. But she also would on occasion work with superstars or with celebrities or with famous musicians, and make sure to get this album because I think that their playing might not be so good after their wrist surgery, which was publicized. She wouldn't share details, but little traits like this I picked up from her.
So she was the rebellious one. So was your dad more the steady guy, or tell me more about him?
She was the free spirit.
Yeah.
He is the quintessential engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Something that he said that stuck with me and shaped even my thinking style when I was young. I'm maybe 5. What do you do, Daddy? I don't really understand. By the way, you can search him and find his story online.
Okay.
Jim is his first name. He'll come up on a Google search. He described what he did in a metaphor. He said, you're sitting on something. What do you see? Well, I see a chair, Dad. It's like, well, when I look at this chair, I see 4 legs, 8 bolts, 8 nuts, 8 washers. I see the potential for usage to vibrate these bolts loose. I see the potential for fall damage and the liability that would cause for an organization that's providing these chairs, the insurance that would be necessary to. It's like that's a really bleak view. But what's the risk for blocking a fire exit? What's the tripping hazard? It's just like, goodness, what a dark world you live in. But he's that kind of analytical thinker. He's a microarchitectural engineer. So I learned, this one extreme of being a social butterfly, being a world-class host, being the friend that's there in the pinch, would come to your side if you were in the hospital and not leave until you got better. Passion and fury and the full range of the human experience. And I got a maybe oversized left brain from my father, thinking analytically. And, he was also creative as well. So it was from him that I learned to appreciate poetry. I have such a rich upbringing. I think the thing that I probably got most from them that had the biggest impact was they were always supportive, so that there was never barriers to my passions. So if I was passionate about music, I had everything I needed to pursue that. There was never, a broken string that couldn't be fixed, of course. But if we were traveling, there was always something that I could continue honing my craft. With sports, with whatever I was doing, they were always all in to make sure that I could experience it to the greatest possible degree. And because of that, I have quite a few diverse range of skills that I've, picked up, enjoyed for years, and walked away from without shame. Just, hey, glad you tried it. What'd you learn? So my parents are phenomenal. This is truly not even the tip of the iceberg.
Amazing. So it's Jim, and your mum's name is?
Annette.
I mean, we obviously, a lot of people want to talk about their parents on this show, and quite rightly. You're a parent, I'm a parent. It's a lot of work. You commit a lot of yourself to them. And I've said it before in this podcast, you do want people to one day sit there and play back to you the impact that we hopefully have had in a positive way. So I think they'd be absolutely thrilled to hear you speak like that. And my first question is, have they heard you speak like that about them before? Do you tell them often? I imagine you would.
I don't go into this. I mean, this density. But yes, they're well aware of how deeply appreciative I and my family are to them, but they're also very involved in the family, so they get to see firsthand how their impact is translated to my parenting, to my marriage, to my
Yeah.
ethos as a human being.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was with that density, those phone calls are going to be super long every time, aren't they? And yeah, hi, Mum. Let me just tell you, you changed my world. You did. It will take a long time before you get to. So, what time are you coming over? Oh, they sound amazing, and you're very fortunate, I think, to have. And they're fortunate they found each other, because that the combination of those two ways of being, I can imagine being super powerful, super productive.
Mhm.
And I love the idea of your dad being this big analytical brain. I mean, I don't know, it tickles me somehow. I imagine, was he like that with everything else? Like even poetry? Would he break it down for you? Would he explain? Is he the explaining type that was just like, it's not just a car, it's a this. Like when you first learned to drive, did he talk to you about how the clutch works, for example?
No, and part of this is that well, I think there's two parts. One is when you become too much of an expert at one thing, you almost definitionally become a bad teacher of it. I think physics is such a great example. If you ask, your science teacher, what happens when two objects collide? They'll say, well, they bounce, they repel, they push away. If you ask, a high level physicist, they'll say, well, atoms never actually make contact with one another. Well, that's not how you teach. So one part of it was that. And the other part of it is I have about half the attention span of a goldfish, unless I'm just phenomenally engaged. And then I can go days on end without food or drink and just, pound the pavement on it. And mechanics and physical engineering, electrical engineering, it didn't speak to me. Engineering as a process does, and I use it well in behavioral science. But no, it was one of those like, here, let me show you how to change the oil. You're going to start here. Wait a minute, why isn't that turning? Oh, we got to come over here and fix this, and we're going to do this. And we just okay, there. Now your car is good to go. Have fun. So he was much more about let's get it done. Now, had I asked, he would have happy
explained the combustion engine.
Yeah, he's much more of a servant is probably the way to say that a bit more succinctly.
But that's nice, isn't it? It's not forcing it upon you. It's just, if you ask, I'll let you know. But meanwhile, let's just get in the car and have some fun. And Annette sounds an absolute riot. I think I'd like to have been friends with her when she was young.
You and Nancy and her would have a real blast.
Oh, that's a given. Let's get that, make that happen. All right, brilliant. Well, you have cheated, but that's fine. We can move on to number 2.
Number 2 is going to be wife and kids. It's another domain. It's, let's say, household relationships. If I didn't do it this way, Julia, it would have been, mom, dad, wife, kids, not very exciting 5. Good. My wife, she is Alicia, and my son is 5 years old, James, and my daughter, 3 years old, Jane. Quick aside on this is my wife picked these names. She picked them during a time that she never wanted kids. And, I guess if I had to, I would want a boy and a girl, and I'd want them to be James and Jane. Fortuitous, my father's name is James, goes by Jim. My middle name is James. There wasn't a lineage intention there, but we've gone ahead and kicked the ball and named my boy after my father, and my daughter's middle name is my mother's middle name. So she picked these before we had even met. It worked out quite nicely that we happened to have a boy and a girl, and she chose the names for them.
Oh, wonderful. I love the continuation of the James as well. I think that's really nice. And such lovely ages, 3 and 5. That's such a lot of fun. It must be a lot of fun in your house.
Yes, our house is very special. Very special, very, very unique.
All right. What does he mean by that? She says to herself.
Oh, what a cliffhanger! What
Yeah.
kind of guest is this? Um, my son is hyper intelligent.
Okay.
Um, let's see. By age 4, his teachers would call home and say, "James is asking questions we're not sure how to answer." It's like birds and bees questions. Like, what do you mean? They're like, well, he was asking if the hydraulic pump fails on a dump truck on a cement mixer, does the concrete remain viscous? Or it's like, I don't even know what these words mean. Where is he picking these things up from? Um, so he's very over-indexed on his mechanical skills. He loves nothing. Like Legos are a little bland for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's into complex building kits. Him and my father obviously just get on like a fire. And he has zero interest in all of the other things kids do. Don't waste my time with dinosaurs. Daddy, I want to be an aeronautics engineer, and I want to play with building toys and digging. These are the only things he cares about. Doesn't want to draw, doesn't want to socialize. He's also on the spectrum, ADHD, anxiety. He's in that perfect trifecta. And he's under-indexed on his social emotional skills. So you put him with a group of people, unless they're building something or digging, they don't exist to him. And my daughter's the exact opposite. She's warm and picks flowers wherever you are. She has flowers for somebody. She loves everybody. Gives hugs to everybody. She has no interest in building. And I always say she's kind of the who and why person, and he's the how and the what person, always taking things apart. And my wife's a bookworm and a yoga nut who enjoys cooking. So we have very niche ranges of interests, some of us at home, which makes things, interesting to say the least.
But it's like mini Annette and Jim, isn't it? Have I got that right? It's just like mini versions.
Not dissimilar, yeah. With the exception that they seem to just be over the top on both of them.
Oh, maybe it's just their age. Maybe that's their age, I think. But I mean, James sounds incredible. So maybe the overtopness. Maybe Jane one day will say, "Get your own flowers." I'm done. I've got other things to do now.
She's in the I love my daddy more than anything phase. So if we could just freeze time, that would be perfect.
But you know what? It never stops, I don't think. Fathers and daughters never stops. So,
I can only hope.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Oh, and Alicia sounds great too. So she's a yoga nut. What does that mean? Is it like 3 times a day yoga nut, or just?
She's the type of person that can't tell, that is very cautious about mentioning her experience with yoga when she goes to a studio, because when she says that she's an instructor and sits in the front, the teachers get a bit chatty about things. She gets pulled up to be the demonstrator. She's the kind of person that will spend 3 or 4 hours. Is the thumb supposed to be this way or this way during your pose? Like obsessive about being perfect. She's an international yoga and Pilates instructor. She woke up. This is so bizarre. Why I say our house is interesting. A few weeks ago, she woke up and said, she's never said anything remotely on this topic. She woke up and not only said, "I need to be a nurse," but she said, "Do you think I should stop after a master's degree, or do you think I should go all the way to a doctorate? Why don't you show an interest in medicine first?" So she's in nursing school now.
Yeah.
Just like a whirlwind.
But she can see it. She can see it all the way through. Yeah. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. And she woke up with that yoga, 20 years ago or so. And just, she's phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, I'm quite jealous of Alicia then, because I like to think I'm quite good at things, Brandon, but that's something I'm really not good at. I went to yoga class about maybe 2 years ago, and I'm yet to go back, because pretty much every day since, I've been practicing standing on one leg. I'm not even joking. I was
wow.
so wobbly.
Mm.
Like I was watching these people 20 years older than me, standing there with one leg up. One leg up and doing all these kind of forwards, sideways. I could not stand on one leg. And I spoke to the instructor afterwards and I said, I thought I was quite strong. She said, you're strong in all the other places, just not those places. So I just decided I was going to work on balance and core strength. And now I can just about do it. And I will go back to yoga and I'll go there and I'll join in properly. But I was that one. They're all standing in a line doing this pose. I'm the one with the arms and legs everywhere. Just going, what? Why can everybody else do this except me? So anyone who's good at yoga, my very dear friend Yvonne's amazing at it as well. Anyone who's good at yoga, full of respect. It's really hard. Just saying, it is really hard.
What took you to the class? What was the interest in yoga?
Why did I go to the class? I don't know. Do you know, it was quite brave of me to do so. I didn't know anyone in the class. Yeah. I didn't even wear the right clothes. I mean, people clearly got all the memos and I turned up in all the wrong gear. And I felt very awkward. Do you know what I felt like? I felt like probably what it's like to be a guy going into a yoga class, right? So I was sitting at the back going, please don't look at me. Please don't call me out. Please don't ask me anything. I'll stay at the back here and mind my business. And I noticed that men do that too when they come into a yoga class. In fact, I said this once to someone. I said, if you want to know what it's like for a woman to walk into a boardroom, come to a yoga class. It's the same feeling. It's the same feeling of walking in and going, oh, these are not my people. Let's see how please don't hurt me. So that always struck me when I saw men coming in to a class. And I know what you're feeling. But no, I felt similar. I was just like, I just didn't have a clue really. But I can't remember, Brandon. I think I just saw it and went, I'm going to have a go at that. I don't remember nobody said to do it. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to really think about that now. I was probably dragged in by someone, to be fair.
Could be, but maybe is a better word. And look how brave you are to go back, to go in, feel uncomfortable, perform suboptimally, and then say, I'm going to rise again.
Absolutely.
Plan to go back. Good for you.
And no one will remember me, but I'll be going, I was that girl. Yes. You know, the one who was just flung her arms around, that was me. And now look at me, straight as a die.
The only question is whether you're going to make that class happen before this episode airs, or if you're going to have to wait till after.
Oh, that sounds like pressure
for
again.
The new year.
You're doing pressure again, Brandon. I don't know. Maybe we can't work together. I'm getting hot and bothered. I'm getting hot and bothered.
Take it back. But you've improved the skill. That's the important thing, huh?
All right. Okay. I'm not telling you anything else because you'll make me do it. All right. Well, they sound amazing. I mean, I love the sound of your household. I really do. I think it's full of creativity and energy and purpose and belief and dreaming. And I think I like the sound of that very much. So good for you. All right. Should we do number 3? What's the gang in number 3?
Number 3, I have a gentleman, Dr. Frank Wagner, on my list.
Wonderful.
He's been a mentor, a business partner, a customer, a friend, a vendor. We've had numerous different relationships, but if I were to describe Frank, if I wanted to describe Frank tactilely, I would put a compass in your hand and say, this is tuned for morality. This is a compass named Frank Wagner. He is someone... I've always wanted to print little bracelets that say WWFD. What would Frank do? Okay. Because as a humorous mnemonic device as that is how I approach any moral question, any ethical question. What would Frank do in this situation? And it's not always the optimal solution, but it has never been the wrong one. I've never made a decision and thought I wish I had done different when I used that heuristic. In Frank, I see the Frank and I have similar personalities with a couple deviations maybe isn't the manifestations of the intent, perhaps. He represents who I would be if my moral compass were as perfectly vertical as he is. And I would almost say down to the genetic code of the man. But that would fail to give adequate respect to the effort that it takes. He's generous. He's brilliant beyond words, but is just such a kind heart. I learn how to approach some of the most difficult decisions. Working with him, he's a leader, he's a coach. He was the inventor, or the architect, I should say, of stakeholder-centered coaching. I learned facilitation from him, leadership, coaching, difficult conversations, just so much about how to be a good, upstanding human being from him. And he would give you the shirt off his back if you asked, because that's the kind of person he is. Frank Wagner.
Wow. I love that. I love the idea of him. I mean, the way you described him, how many people on this earth get to be described as the sort of center line for as a moral compass? I mean, that's very few people. Can I ask, is he still with us? Is he still going strong?
He going strong. That is such a great question. This is Frank. He's exercising every day. He's 76 now. I would almost venture to say 7. It was just a few months ago. Still does his age in push-ups regularly. He has never weighed more. He's never changed weight from his college graduation weight. He says, every morning I weigh myself. If I'm up, I eat a little less. If I'm down, I eat a little more. And he shares a pint of Ben & Jerry's with him and his 2 dogs every other day. He's living the life. I don't know how else to describe. He's a coach. His PhD was organizational behavior. He's on the cover of Architectural Digest for his world famous Japanese gardens. He's got a Japanese garden, a French garden, an English, and I think an Italian that he's hand curated at his home. He's just, everything he touches turns to magic, and he would be the last person to admit that.
Amazing. Do you know his origin story? What drove him to be this person? Did he ever share?
Yeah. Actually, not too long ago, we were teaching at the Center for Leadership Studies, where situational leadership came from, and he shared with me that on the plane, and while we were there, he has a identical twin brother, who's an expert witness now, I think, in engineering, in architecture, and in one other complete left field domain. And he was always the smart one. And he had I just have to censor because it's not my story. I don't know to what extent it's public knowledge. He had a situation where his brother got in trouble, and his dad had said, how come you're not more like Frank? Why can't you be more like Frank? In this one situation. Or how come you can't have more common sense like Frank?
Yeah.
And he said, that's who I am. I'm the common sense guy. So even as this phenomenal brain of his, everything just feels conversational. It feels like, we're chatting over tea, no airs put on about it. And that just was kind of it. He wanted to surf. That was the only thing on his mind. And he met his absolutely fantastic wife, Karen, along the way, had a wonderful connection with her during his PhD, when he also met Marshall Goldsmith, and that became the origin of him in coaching, in creating stakeholder-centered coaching, and everything he's done since.
Yeah, I did know about Marshall because obviously Nancy spoke very highly of him, and he's roughly in his 70s as well, isn't he? So is he?
Yes.
Are they like co-founders?
So they were roommates in their PhD. And okay, here's maybe the unabridged story. he was working with Paul Hershey, Ken Blanchard, and they were being mentored at the time, I believe, by Peter Drucker, working at, I believe it was IBM or Intel.
Mm-hmm.
And they had said, Marshall, we love what you're doing. Can you coach, 20, 30, 40, some high number of people? And he said, well, no, of course not. It's no way one person could do that. So they said, think about it. Went to Frank and said, what do we do about this? And he said, well, Marshall, what is it that you do? And Marshall downloaded it to Frank, and Frank scribbled it out and said, well, this seems pretty transferable. This seems pretty process driven. It's non-evolutionary. It's not, the giant is inside you. You just need to pull it out. No, this is an engineered process that if you follow these steps that anybody can follow, you have very predictable outcomes. And it's as simple as, Julia, how do I be a good guest? You tell me. I say thank you.
Yeah.
And then I follow up, did I do it? And repeat this process. Like, this isn't, I describe it, if you recall, when we learned to write stories, informative stories. Tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you told them. With this process that he put together, it's ask what people need to see, show them, ask if they saw.
Yeah.
That's it. And that was kind of the inflection point when he said, okay, this is now where I'm going to spend my life teaching and coaching and mentoring.
Well, he sounds a man of great substance. He obviously had a big impact on you, and sounds like if you take that know-how and that collaboration with Marshall times all the people that have been impacted since they've developed the Institute, that's a lot of impact, isn't it? That's a lot of, that's a lot of world-changing stuff. So, I like the sound of him very much. I still wasn't clear about what drove him, though. Are you saying that he was competitive with his other twin, or he was absorbed something from his other twin in terms of having to be a certain way? I wasn't quite clear on that point. My
understanding was it's sort of living in the shadow of
his
your
twin.
Yeah, of an identical twin that your teachers can't tell apart and have different sets of expectations for. And
gotcha.
One day he was in the limelight, and I shouldn't say that's what drives him overall. I think what drives him is being a good person. But he didn't set out, as I understand, never set out to have a PhD, never set out to teach, never set out to be who he is today. And to be honest, the leadership team, all of us have this story. None of us walked into this head first with a plan. We all fell in backwards and fortuitously.
All right, that makes sense. I get you. All right. No, I'm always curious about, well, clearly I'm always curious about the people behind the people, but I always want to know, I went to something the other day, quite innocuous. And it was actually a wine tasting. And you'd think everyone's putting their hand up and asking about the vintage, and everyone else is, and they're wanting to know about the blend, and they're wanting to know on this and the other. And I didn't put my hand up, but I wanted to. I was going, and I would have, if I felt the timing was right, I definitely would have put my hand up and said, "Who owns this thing? Where did they get their money? How did they buy it? Where did they start? Tell me about their parents. When did they? I want to know all that bit." And the wine was delicious, but it was like, okay. Now, who had the vision for this? Where did that vision come from? Where did they find the funding? I mean, anyway, I'm glad. I bet everyone in the room's glad I didn't put my hand.
How did you become this way? Like, because that's a very unique interest. How did you become this way? What drives that thought?
I don't know. I just think I tried to figure it out a while ago. I think my interest in people, I think it was born out of necessity to begin with. I had quite a rough time as a kid, and I think I learned very quickly that if I understood people, I could navigate and, let's say, optimize and turn very negative situations into positive ones. So filtering out the good ones, trying to survive the bad ones, avoid the ones I could avoid, and generally work people out. So I think my EQ came very early to me because it was a survival instinct. But obviously now I don't need to use it for survival. As a a pleasure. I enjoy getting to know people. I mean, my partner calls it fresh meat. She's like, "Oh, fresh meat. You've just got fresh meat to talk to." And I was like, "You do realize this entire podcast is for me to find fresh meat because I love it. I love it. I love. I don't know. I just love getting behind. Because everybody, to me anyway, everyone is fascinating. Everyone doesn't matter where you started, where you are in your life. Everyone has a great backstory. So I think it started there, but now it is my greatest joy to, have a fresh meat in front of me and ask them these kind of questions. So there we are. All right. Well, listen, Frank sounds amazing. You are very fortunate again. You're getting lots of good fortune here by the looks of it. We're getting on to number 4 now. I hope the good fortune continues.
Well, I'll flip the script here a little bit, given the feed forward that you just very subtly and kindly gave, understanding the stories that drove people. I want to give a negative example.
All right.
Has anyone done this on the show yet?
Maybe a little bit,
maybe.
But no, but it was not. Yes, carry on, but yes.
Broad category again, but teachers.
Okay.
Teachers. Very positive and very negative. My intention, or at least what I've spent the most time grappling with, has been the negative, but happy to go into the positive as well. Have had a negative impact through elementary, middle, and high. I was, and undergrad. I was not a good student. I have several shelves worth of neurological anomalies that presented quite a challenge for me in school. Disability level ADHD is one of them. So I was never, ever, ever sitting still. In fact, I remember a teacher once calling home, maybe 4th grade or so, and they said, Brandon's very sweet. He's always trying his best. He tends to make others laugh and get distracted. But the problem is he keeps getting out of his chair. And we just wanted to let you know we had to take his chair away today. And my mom said, "I'm going to stop you right there. Don't give it back." What do you mean? He doesn't like the chair. That's a prison for him. Like, let him sit on the floor, let him sit on the table, make him stand. That's the way to do it. But that was a very sweet teacher. Most of the others weren't so sweet. I'm not painting teachers in a bad light. These are some cherry-picked examples, but I once had a teacher throw my binder across the room. Just, at least to my memory, was unfounded and unfair. I'm sure I did something. Specifically, my 6th grade science teacher, I think, was the downfall of my interest in academics. She was just I would describe her as mean-spirited, the kind of person that maybe chose teaching as a career and then realized, what goes into that.
Yeah.
And was bitter at the children. But I remember being a straight A kid. I had a B+ once. The teachers called home to forewarn that Brandon will probably be disappointed. And after that, I became C's and F's, just didn't really care in the class. It was like the light switch flipped off. And then for my rest of my academic career, I did wonderful at tests and projects, but I just, wouldn't show up or finish the work, or, I got the information, but just it was a necessary evil. And it wasn't until grad school that I sort of learned to learn. Well, I should say it was grad school when I could start doing things, learning differently. There's more videos that you can rewatch rather than lectures you get one shot at. But they had a profoundly negative impact on me in shutting down my interest in organizing numbers. Coming from such strong engineering program, I should be mathematically super literate, and I'm not. I took algebra 1 3 times and had to do remedial math. And my undergrad, a lot of self-limiting beliefs. Well, a lot of the stuff you and Nancy talked about where you can, hear this whisper once as a child and it turns into a scream that follows you your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I've done academically since then has been to sort of counteract to sort of play that ballast role. But teachers have had a pretty net negative impact on me coming up.
Interesting. And yet here we are, you being more than one. You're not a teacher, you're a coach, you're a leader of coaches, you're a leader of an organization that coaches. So isn't it interesting that that it's a very different expression of teaching, but it's still teaching nonetheless, and that's what you've become. But I could totally get where you're coming from, and you're right. It has been brought up before in exactly the same way, which is there's those teachers that see you and lift you, and they can have such a profoundly positive impact on you if you just happen to get really lucky and have someone who actually sees beyond all of that. But yeah, I think they're treasured because they are treasures. They're not the norm. The norm is, the paycheck teacher, the resentful teacher, the teacher that probably sees something in you, triggers them in some way, and they just need to put your light out because theirs went out.
Yeah.
All of that kind of thing. And I firsthand, I've experienced this myself as well. And sorry.
What did that look like for you?
Well, I was just, when you were talking, I might, I've never identified with any kind of, my childhood was such a mess. It's like, it's hard to identify which was the bit, because I didn't really go to school because I didn't have a functioning home life. And when I did go to school, I found some parts of it so ridiculous, like sitting still for for an hour, 2 hours. And why? What is the point of that? You know what I mean? So I was quite a challenging kid. I'd be in the class and I was super funny. I was quick-minded. And I seemed to grasp everything super quick. And so I'd get impatient. That was my thing. I always remember that. So the things I could learn, I picked up super fast. But the things that were sequential, like you had to go to each class, I had no chance because I only went to 1 out of 10. So maths was a dead loss for me, because if you miss even one class, you can't catch up.
Yeah.
And the maths teacher was particularly disconnected from us, so she had no interest in trying to help me understand anything. And I soon kind of just made the whole thing quite optional. I mean, it was the 80s. I could do that. There was nobody asking me where I was. Yeah. So I just dropped. I mean, to use an American expression, I just kind of dropped out. I didn't really finish my education, and just started working. I mean, I started getting my first paychecks when I was like 14, 15. I was supposed to be at school, but I just saw the whole thing as completely ridiculous and unnecessary. And also, curiously, I've gone on to be a lifelong learner. I love learning things. I don't have any qualifications, but if we are having a dinner conversation, there's not much I can't speak into, because I'm fascinated by things and I'm curious, and I love logic and reason and understanding what's behind the thing, and solving things. So it was a real shame, actually. I look back and I think, if I'd had a different start in life, what could I have done with it? But I'm okay with what I've done with it, actually. I'm at peace with that now. I think I've taken all of that and turned it into something pretty good. But no, teachers for me, they didn't like me very much. A lot of them didn't like me. A lot of them loved me. I mean, it was one or the other. It was like there's nobody was particular. No one was a bit meh. Julia meh. No, it wasn't like that. It was love her with all my heart, or get her out of my class.
Yeah. So you were a household name for the teachers, it sounds like.
I was probably famous. famous in the staff room.
It's fascinating because our stories, I think, are far more similar than disparate, in that we both took what began as a coping mechanism and have turned it into what it was supposed to be to us in the first place. You love learning, and now you say, let me help people learn the way that you need to learn without sitting still for hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I feel like in my own small way, I've been a bit of a teacher along the way as well. Not in a grand way, not in a, let me tell you stuff, Brandon. I'm not in a grandiose way. But my kids, the way I raised them, it's like I'm a little bit like Jim, your dad. I was like, here's how things work. Here's how this, I said something in Nancy's podcast about her dad explaining from the, getting on his knees and explaining the smallest creature right through to the stars. And it's like, it's the same. I wanted to be that person for my kids. And I like to think that if I know something, they say knowledge is power. And back in the day, that used to mean get some knowledge and keep it for yourself, right? In the 90s, when everyone was, kill or be killed. I never took it that way. I thought knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Oh, I have something. I'll give it to you. Do you need to know it? If I've got some knowledge, I want it. I want everyone to have it. So it's like, I think that's the teacher side of me. It's as far as it goes, but that's the teacher side of me. And maybe it's deep down, it's because I have this muscle memory of people being mean and, I don't know, not generous with their knowledge and their time. But oh well, we could talk about that for hours, couldn't we? But I think we'll probably someone might tell us off. I don't know who. Nobody. Our teachers.
Well, it won't be till next year that they say anything. So cheers to whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I think that was a really interesting number 4, actually. And thematically, and as a group, I think teachers, we know the best of them can change your life, and the worst of them can change your life. Yeah, right, excellent. All right, listen, let's go on to number 5. Who's the finale?
The final group, and I had these as number 4. I was going to end on a teacher's note, but I'm glad I flipped the script. You said you wanted to know what drives people. I think what drove me so much was the thought of you can't do this, you won't become something. And it was the contrarian in me, like, I will become something, but not the way you want me to.
Yeah.
And so
I totally get that.
Watch me.
Yeah.
And so where this manifests most is at the workplace. My last category is coworkers. My work has always been very mission focused, and my loyalties, I will come across as phenomenally loyal because I am, and that loyalty is always to the mission. I believe we can properly change the world in a measurable way, not a self-reported way, but an others-reported way. And so the people that I'm surrounded by, that I spend the majority of my time with, are people who share that same fervor for the mission. These are my people. This is my tribe. This is, I think it goes perhaps without saying, I just never fit in anywhere. Co-work is one of the first places I feel like I do fit in. It turns out at times my wife is a coworker. It turns out that Frank is a coworker. It turns out that many teachers are coworkers because we're also facilitators. But these are people who see me for who I am, what I am, and almost as importantly, what I'm not. Bring their complementary skill sets with grace and generosity and acceptance, and work together towards something much bigger than ourselves that we all care deeply about, we all benefit equally from. And I just get so much passion and joy and enthusiasm from the people I work with. They're the greatest group of individuals I could actively point to. And they bring out in me that which may not see the light of day otherwise. So I'd have to give a big fat shout out to the people with whom I work. And that's been pretty stable over the last 10 to 15 years.
Okay. So when you were speaking, what really landed on me is this idea. Well, first of all, that I would say the word belong here at this stage, like that you finally find a place that you belong. Because I think fitting and belonging, and I've talked about this in the past, fitting and belonging are so radically different. And I relate completely to this idea of feeling that you don't fit in. Not because you're not wanting to, not because you haven't got all the attributes that it should work. On paper, it should work. We should fit in here. But it's a feeling from the inside, isn't it? That says, I don't understand these people. I don't understand what's going on half the time, et cetera, et cetera. So for you to find your tribe and have that as your mission, your drive, your purpose, to have people that you go to work with and they're your friends and they care about you and you care about them and you can fully express yourself. To me, that's the nirvana of a workplace. I've achieved it a few times in my career. I'd say, I'm not going to say a few, I'd say maybe twice, where I felt truly like so at peace with the people. And I felt like I was going to work with my best friends. And I was like, and we were achieving something meaningful together. And it really mattered. So I have experienced that. And I wonder if we are, similar in that way as well, which is, I'm trying to work out a way of expressing it without being too vague. It's like a yearning feeling that you really want to fit in. You really want to. And you're trying to learn the language of everybody around you and figure out what they're all saying and see what they're wearing and like, okay, how am I going to make sure these guys like me? I'll be this way. But always deep down knowing it's not really who you are. And then the difference when you actually belong somewhere, it's huge because then you just aren't doing any of that. You're just being yourself. And people love you anyway. And that took me a long time to achieve. A long time. I've achieved it now, but goodness, I spent years trying to figure it all out and find my place. So, can you relate to any of that? That's kind of what you're saying, isn't it?
I can, and I would build on top of that to say, for me at least, belonging is half the picture. In the sum total of the appreciation I have for my coworkers, belonging is a part of it. Being leveraged is a piece of it. So not just being seen for what you are and aren't, but to say, oh, wow, the things that this guy is have a disproportionate value only if I, as Brandon's coworker, brings what I do exceptionally well. And together, it's like Power Rangers when all their little animals come together and make the big Megatron. I don't pay attention to the shows, but it's like we come together to make something much greater than the sum of the parts. And because of that, we can bask equally in the glory of what the impact that's being made in the lives of people we're aiming to reach. And no one owns that achievement. It is truly
collective,
a joint achievement. Julie, I would posit that the easiest part of this whole podcast is doing the show. Safe to say?
What do you mean?
Like, the easiest part is hosting. Like, everyone sees Julie, that's the hard part. That's having the personality, the charisma, having the chemistry. The hard part is the editing and the marketing and the things that other people may be, right? But together you own this People Are Everything podcast. That's the feeling. So not just being seen, but being appreciated and utilized in a meaningful way means everything to me.
I like that. I've never really heard that before, this idea of being leveraged. Because when you are, we all like to, I get exactly what you're saying. If you've got all this to give and yet no one's utilizing it because you can't make it work in concert with other people, that's deeply frustrating, isn't it? And I also like what you mean about celebrating the group effort. Absolutely. I guess I get to sit behind the mic and pretend this is all mine, but it isn't all mine. I've got a team behind me who do lots of amazing things that I could never do. Genuinely. Like, I don't do any of the editing, Brandon. Forget it.
Yeah.
I managed to delete all the files the other day. I deleted 47 files.
That's perfect.
This is supposed to be one of the most robust podcast recording platforms. And I had to go cap in hand to their tech support and say, I've deleted 47 files. Could you recover them for me, please? Literally, I am that ham-fisted when it comes to tech. So I don't do that. Yeah, got it back for me. Oh, it was scary. But it's like, it was more, they were edits. They weren't, I just say, you're in safe hands. They weren't the main recordings. They were the edits. But it's like, it just proves that I can't be trusted with these things. And, but I have people who are brilliant at it. So I just, leverage them and they leverage me. And I love that word. I think it's a really, a great way of talking about people bringing their full selves and actually utilizing their full selves in concert with other people. Ah, wonderful. Oh, here's to all your co-workers. And long may that chemistry continue. All right. Well, we come to the end of the 5. We've covered a lot of ground. I'm seeing loads of themes here. I mean, creativity. I'm seeing resilience. I'm seeing, the belief thing. I'm just going to go and do something. I'm going to express myself fully. I'm going to find my tribe. I'm going to find like-minded people who are going to kind of 1 + 1 equaling a gazillion. So there's a lot here in terms of themes. And I always ask my guests at this point is like, well, that is directly what we can take from this conversation. But when you were reflecting on your 5, was there a few things that just, oh gosh, I get this side of myself directly from this person, or I get, I feel this way about things because of that person. Did any of that happen for you when you were doing this process?
Sure. I mean, just looking at my list, from my mother, I learned to see what's behind the skin on the face and who's really there, what's troubling them, how can you serve them in a unique way. For my father, it's process and analysis. Bigger than that is how to be a good man.
Yeah.
How to treat my spouse with love and kindness, how to be a tremendous father. The things that I learned from them are innumerable. From my wife. I mean, I actually told her the day I met, like, this is it, I'm done. Like, if you're into this, I'm into this, we'll just figure it out along the way. Probably scared her a bit. Certainly scared her a bit. But we've been together going on 16 or so years now. We were college sweethearts. But the moment I saw her, everything that I wanted to be, everything that I wasn't. She was poised, she was disciplined, she was controlled, she was super attractive. My son, the amount of curiosity that he invokes in me and enthusiasm for life. Jane, my daughter, zest and appreciation for relationships, coworkers. I learned confidence. I learned not just it's okay to fail, but if we fail, we grow together. That kind of fail safe, that kind of insurance policy you couldn't pay money for.
Yeah.
From the teachers, it was the fire to be something that I was always told I wouldn't. From Frank, it's approaching every situation with how do I give more than I get, and how do I do it with integrity and moral uprightness. So yeah, that was the joy of this. It was not just who has influenced me, but what are the components of me that were influenced, to which degree, and who do I need to call after this recording and say, I couldn't say thank you enough. So you asked, how was the process? It was a gift for this exact reason.
Oh, honestly, that makes me so happy to hear all of that. Because this, again, going back to the purpose of this, I want people to stop and think about it. I want people to sit there and say, gosh, I am this person because of, and to really stop and think about it. And I was on, I think I was the guest on somebody else's podcast recently, and I don't know if you do this, Brandon, but I've started doing this thing where if I'm thinking about someone, if something they've said dropped into my brain that has an impact, I've started sending them little voice notes going, hey, John, I haven't spoken to you in 5 years. So I was just doing something, and that time you said to me this, it just dropped into my head. And I'm just letting you know. And hope you're well, hope your life's going well. That's it. Let's just leave a little voice note. And it's what's so wonderful. And if I'm listening to a podcast and there's a line in there, and I go, oh, that person. Oh, I did it the other day, actually. His name's Thomas. And I said, Thomas, there's a line in this podcast that made me think of you, and I think you're going to love this segment. Hadn't spoken to Thomas in 10 years. So it's just somebody I used to know back in the day. So it's a thing I've just started doing, and I think it's, I don't know, I love it when people pause and actually genuinely think about the key people in their life. I think that's what drives this whole podcast for me. So, and that was a lovely summary, actually. That's a really, really powerful. So, warms my heart. All right. Next question is, sounds really churlish asking you this because you're so obviously invested in betterment of the world. But, the question I like to ask is, you've had all this investment in you. How are you going to take all this forward? What is your plan for living in honor of these people? How are you going to live your life that says thank you, not in your words, but in your deeds? That's my next question I like to ask.
Yeah. When it comes to parents, wife, and kids, I'll say in the macro, I think so much of what we see in the world, both the good and the bad, and by that I mean both human achievements as well as what we see in the crime statistics, in poverty, all these different things. I think so much of it starts at home. So much of it starts with parenting. It's, by the way, I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about the corporate world. I'm far more passionate about what's going on at home. And I think that to the extent we can influence what happens at work, when people have great days at work, they don't go home and be jerks to their family.
Totally agree.
Which, by the way, I have to say, is not something I've ever experienced or seen personally, but I have witnessed it in others. I think a big piece of this is just doing everything I can to be a really, really present and encouraging father, not just to my kids, but to the kids they play with. I think number 2 is making education better. It just sounds so, I haven't spent enough time here, but that's one of the forefronts of where stakeholder-centered coaching will go. Well, we're partnering with IE University, with Sarasota, with UPenn. Education's a big component to me. I think that's the second wave, but really having a positive impact. Everything we do with schools, we're aiming to make it more cost efficient, free if and when we can, but to give our IP as much as possible, because anyone can do this stuff. No one does this stuff better than kids, actually. But yeah, being a good parent, making sure that I'm reinvesting in education, and to whatever extent I can, just being kind, preach kindness, hold the door for someone, pick up trash if you find it. Like, this stuff isn't difficult, but it pains me to say this. It's almost radical at this point, being kind. But yeah, I think this is, if I can stand up and give a message that goes countercultural to what has been commercialized in leadership and say, this isn't a commercial enterprise, this is a service enterprise. Here's the system for serving effectively, no matter where you are. I think that would be part of paying it forward and doing it in many times their name. Another gift of this podcast is you get to name them and honor them in that way. So I think that would be my payback, is make the world a better place, both at home and the workplace and in education. And spreading kindness.
Well, that's quite a trio. It's and so impactful. I mean, I that thing you said about sending people home happy, I experienced that directly when I was in India, actually. So quick aside, and I'll come back to the things you said. I watched this one person absolutely tear a strip off this young man. He was only probably in his maybe a late 20s, but he was a father. He had to go home to his family, and this person absolutely tore this person to pieces. And they didn't know I could see. And I went up to them afterwards. I said, he needs to go home with dignity and respect, because otherwise he is going to not be the best father he can be. to the children that he's raising. So whatever you do to fix that, go fix that before he leaves, because he has to go home with self-worth and dignity.
Yeah.
And I never forgot it. I was just like, wow, that's the gig. You can't send people away like that. And that stuck with me in my leadership. It's like the behaviors you have impact on people's day when they leave your presence. And I think so many leaders, and I guess what you're implying at the moment is certain leadership styles. Let's call it that. Leadership styles right now are being celebrated. And for me, it feels very much a backward step. It's not how it works. It is service. It's all about that. It's all about being a great leader is all about sacrifice and service, actually, and putting yourself under people, not above them, in my opinion. So we are definitely on the same path there, Brandon. I love how you've summarised that. So, well, I hope you thought about this last question, because that's how I got to meet you. And I jokingly said you were tagged. But actually, my last question is, who should I speak to next and why?
I'm going to point you to my colleague, Laura Garcia.
Laura Garcia, yeah.
Part of that is because I know that she will bring a dimension to the show that can't be found elsewhere. She's just that powerful of a woman. And partly because I adore her. I think the things that she has to say will be enjoyable. I can promise you this, you're not going to have a guest who will have put more thought, effort, and love into her responses. Laura's going to do that for you.
Wonderful. Oh, I definitely want to meet her. Yeah. Do you remember what Nancy said about you on the end? You haven't heard it yet, have you? You haven't got to the end.
I have. Did I share with the audience why that is, by the way? Because that was something
Well, I don't know if you said you were working and you had to stop because
I had to stop. I frequently listen to podcasts while I work, and I had to stop yours the first time in history because I couldn't focus on anything but it. It just was like reaching in and pulling. It was very enjoyable. What did she say of me?
Well, first of all, lots of accolades of how amazing you are. But she said, I think she said something like, there are layers. I want you to meet Brandon because there are layers upon layers upon layers upon layers with this man. And I agree. I think I could talk to you for hours because I think we would never run out of things to talk about, firstly. I think there's so much depth to you already that I've experienced through this conversation. And that layer thing, it's layers of life experience, integrity, thoughtfulness, and also you're very intriguing with your sort of, I don't want to say, we talked about your ADHD and stuff like that. And I know that is a feature of you, but I think it's how you think. It's your superpower. It's it's called ADHD, but for me, it's how it's manifesting in you in this conversation. It's very much a superpower of yours. So it's like, I know that if we had more time, we'd get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I'm back to the fitting in thing, Brandon. I'm not very good at small talk. You can probably, that's no surprise, is it? It's like, I meet people at dinner and if I don't know them within minutes, I've got them telling me everything.
Yeah. What makes you cry?
Yeah. Exactly. So I could recognize that in you as well. And I think with more time, we would have gone deeper and deeper into these subjects. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I knew it would be. Nancy knew it would be. I really hope you stay in. Well, you wanted to be in my top 5, didn't you? So
one of the goals.
To do that, we have to stay in each other's lives. And you're Portland, aren't you? Portland way.
I'll claim Portland, but if you're in Portland, then I live on the Washington side of the Columbia River. So I'm greater Portland area, but I'm technically a Washingtonian. All
right. Well, I'm seem to be meeting a lot of Americans these days, and so my geography is getting a lot better. I used to just know where New York and LA was, but now I'm sort of piecing it all together. But well, listen, I would like to stay in touch. I think we would. I'd love to continue this conversation over a different format. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. It's been an absolute joy. And I say now to all my guests, don't disappear immediately, because I like to stop. I'm going to say tape now. How old am I? I'm going to stop the recording and have a little post-show chat with you. So don't disappear. Yeah. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure, Brandon. I really appreciate it today. So that was the wonderful Brandon Mergard there. I told you you'd learn something. This idea of feedback and feed forward. I'd never really thought about that before in those terms, but it's absolutely spot on, isn't it? You can't just go around evaluating what you think you are and how you land on people. You have to actually ask them. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed that one. And if you did, please like, subscribe, comment, get involved somehow. Next week, we have Carrie Osman. And what can I say about Carrie? We're going for a drink. That's all you need to know. We got on that well. We were like, right, we need to be friends. So I'm meeting Carrie for a drink in a very posh part of town very soon. And Carrie is one of those rare businesswomen who not only have great charm and charisma, but incredible technical chops and great resilience. When you come to hear her story of how she built her business, I think you'll be super impressed, as I was. So have a good week ahead, and I'll see you next week with Carrie Osman. Take care till then. Okay, bye.